TikTok, it's time to rock. We found Brad. We had to send a search party out for Brad. I got into trouble, ladies and gentlemen, for telling the truth in the chat that we were waiting for Brad. So, telling the truth gets you into trouble around here.
I'd like to complain. That just now I was on top with you, and now I'm on the bottom. What happened?
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Nah,
put you both on the bottom.
That'll
my
teach me.
Lord.
Don't complain about your lot. You're getting turfed down the queue, not up it.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Obviously, my name is Andrew. This is the Sunday show, the British Electric Blues show. It's the show that's the flagship of the 5150.
Flagship. Yes,
the flagship of the 5150 channel. It's the one that we look forward to doing the most, I'll be honest, and it's the one that we look forward to hanging out with each other the most. So my name is Andrew. I'm from Hamilton. On the top tier, we have Andy from somewhere up north.
Yeah, I'm guessing the Lake District.
Oh!
as we see in the caption there. So at the moment, it's a steady 8 degrees. It's our summer and it's raining.
Yeah.
So Simon's probably hitting about 22 degrees already.
I'm 14 degrees and the sun's out and the sky is blue. Andy, don't tell anyone.
Awesome. And Brad's in chilly Melbourne.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold, though.
Like how cold?
Well, I don't do that Fahrenheit stuff. I only do Celsius. So we're 13 degrees at the moment, but it feels like about 8. It's pretty cold.
Yeah.
Makes me feel better.
It's about the same here. I'm claiming it's nice. It's like a reasonably nice summer day. And you're claiming it's freezing cold.
Well, Simon, it's always the other way around. In my summer, you're always like, I'm freezing, I need to warm up, and I'm like, I'm stinking, mate. It's hot,
Oh, it's it's what happens when you've got a YouTube channel, gentlemen and ladies. That's global, and we've got that, haven't we?
We're global, all right. We got people in the chat from all around the world. We got people on the screen here from all around the world.
Or as I like to say, we've got people on the screen diametrically opposed to each other. So you guys live as far away from me as possible to get before you start coming back on yourself.
Oh, it's one of the great things, though, isn't it, about social media? And we were just talking about that, ladies and gentlemen, in the green room, about the positive aspects of social media and what we try to do here on our channel, isn't it, with social media. So we want to do a couple of quick little shout outs before we get into the show. I want to do a shout out to a good friend of our channel, Warren, who's going through cancer treatment. Of course, I have to do a shout out for our co-host, Brad, who's posting some great posts on Instagram. He's an inspiration for a lot of people, and we mean that humbly, bro. So, you fight that battle, bro. You fight that battle, and you're making those little steps forward. And, a lot of people are praying and sending you positive thoughts, bro. We know that. Keep it up, brother.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, everyone. It's each day a little bit better. I'm pushing myself every day to just make steps forward. And the last maybe couple of days, I've just started to feel a little bit limber on the guitar again and starting to get some, from week 3 to week 4, we're in week 4 now. there's been a fairly drastic change with what I can actually do on the guitar, which is good and positive.
Oh, excellent.
And
Wow.
I'm actually found myself smiling while I was playing the other day, which is the first time I've actually done that in 4 weeks. So getting a bit emotional about it, but it's funny how you take for granted the simple things that you can do on a guitar when you can't do them, and how painful it is to when your brain's telling your hands to do it but they're not doing it. Yeah, that's hard to accept. So to move forward, how far I have in 4 weeks, I'm just really grateful that I've managed to get this far, but I'm nowhere near where I need to be. So it's it's not getting complacent now. It's just putting the foot down harder.
Oh, that's good news, bro. Thank you. And keep obviously us in touch, and
Mm.
everybody, especially for your Instagram. So again, if anybody is watching this on replay, you want to keep in touch with what Brad's doing. If he's an inspiration to you, there he is there. Easy to find. Brad Cook Music. Follow him there. And if you want to follow him on his social media account, on his website, there he is there.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, we're going to do a show. We're going to do a show soon where we're going to talk a little bit more about Brad's music, his EP. We haven't done that for a while, so we're going to organise and do something next month, aren't we, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the first I've heard of it, but yeah, let's do it. And
yes,
I'm happy to talk about. And I had this discussion with some people, and I've actually had a hell of a lot of people in the last week now message me about their journeys, their problems, their things they've had, and how inspirational it's been. So it's been very, I was hesitant to put posts up about how I'm progressing and things, but if it inspires even one person, it's worth doing for me. So I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing that. Some people have contacted me and told me they've had medical issues like spinal injuries, all sorts of things that have stopped them from playing guitar. Man, that very powerful healing has come from that alone, just hearing those stories, because you can take for granted what you can do on a daily basis, whether it's getting up, jumping on your feet, walking to the front door, smelling the fresh air outside, whatever it may be, walking out to your car, getting in, going for a drive. You take all that for granted. We do when you do it every day. So to actually, maybe in a roundabout way, I was meant to go through this to start taking, have more gratitude for the little things that I took for granted. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to try and take a positive spin on what's happened to me and try and, hopefully inspire people, and be, it's not take anything for granted anymore. And the biggest thing I can say, and my son was talking to me last night in bed about everything that's happened to me. He was in bed, and I was sitting on the edge of his bed. We were talking about it, and this is a personal story, and I don't mind sharing it with you guys, because he wanted to know more. So I told him, and he said, "Am I healed?" And I said, "No, not really. I've got a long way to go, but I'm getting there," and explained all that. And I said, "But," he goes, he said something in relation to something with him. And I said, "Listen, son, all I can say to you is this: every day you get up is a blessing. And I think what you should do is do what makes you happy every single day, and never put anything off that you want to do. If you want to do something, you do it, because at the end of the day, things can turn around in your life so quickly." And it happened to me, 4 weeks ago. I picked up a guitar and thought I'd never be able to play again. So that's my positive spin for the show. Probably didn't expect to have this dumped on us this early, 10 minutes into the show. But yeah, do what you want to do every single day. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't be suppressed by anything. if you're not happy, change things. If you want to play guitar, play guitar. If you want to, you know, go for a drive, go. If you want to become a musician, if you want to take it to the next step, but you got things holding you back, don't let it hold you back. Do it, because you could be at some point turn around and regret not doing it.
Yeah, life is not a rehearsal.
No, that's it. So that's what I said to my son, is just do what makes you happy every single day. That's all I can say. And on that note, we've got a fabulous show planned today.
Cool. Oh, we thought you were off. We thought you were off on a TED talk. You know, 15 minutes. Relax. 15 minutes.
I know you guys probably didn't. I didn't expect to talk like that either, but you guys mentioned it, and I just think, you know, if I can, if I can inspire one person through my journey, my job's done. I'm happy.
Well done, bro. Well done. Thank you for that. And you're getting a lot of support. And there's been a lot of messages and notes been left on a lot of the previous videos that we've done too on the channel as well. So very nice. There's a couple of new comments from people that have obviously have been subscribing to the channel, have been making comments. Snow Pony has been making some nice comments as well. So it's nice to know that people that watch our show back on replay are being inspired also by your messages as well too, of being positive, bro. So, you know, it's a great thing. Thank you, brother.
My my inbox on Instagram, my inbox on Facebook is still full of messages that I haven't even got to of people, and I'm so grateful. It's you know, people have been what do you call it? The positivity and the love that's coming at me has also helped with healing, I'm sure.
Awesome. Before we start the show off, Rock Professor, we've got about 14, 15 people. Do you want to do a quick shout out, Rock Professor? And
I will. Yeah.
And then we'll kick the show off. What do you think?
I think it sounds like a great idea. Yeah. So good morning too. Right, roll scroll at the top. Nelson, of course, Rodriguez. Good morning, Nelson. Teresa. Good morning, Teresa. Alan. Good morning, team. Team
5150.
Team Bebs. Tim Thomas. Good morning, Tim. We've got Jazz Thunder 50. Good morning, Jim. From north of the border. Gret Zeppelin, good morning, Gret. We've got Christine Taylor. Good morning, Christine. How are you? Hope you're good.
Awesome.
Yeah. We've got anybody else? Johnny Heartbreaker as well. I saw him. Teresa. Robert Ranford. Good morning, Robert. Helene O'Hara. Good morning, Helene. I think that's probably everybody. 12 watching, and fantastic. So thanks all for joining, and good to see some of you on our earlier show.
With, especially Helena.
Yeah. So go and check that out, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done that, because one of the authors of this book here that our channel has been committed to publicising was on with a guy called Michael Freeman, a well-known, award-winning producer, and he's going to come back and do some more stuff with us, and I'm sure we'll try and get him on at a time that's going to suit you too, Brad. I'm sure you'd love to be part of that show, but he's going to come back. We'll look forward to that. If you guys haven't already pre-ordered this book, please do. I'll make it a link into the show for you guys to go and check that out, please.
Yeah, I started watching the episode you guys did in the wee hours of the morning for me, a bit earlier, but obviously I had to finish off some notes for this, so I'll get back to it later tonight. But what I saw was really good, guys. Really great.
It's brilliant.
Thank you, bro.
It was good, yeah.
Thank you, bro. It means a lot.
I'd like to point out that getting Mr. Walton up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I heard that.
For
Yeah,
once
you weren't feeling sorry for him at all.
No, not even a bit. Once in his life, he can get out of bed early and get on the show.
He didn't feel sorry for him. I actually did have a big chuckle at that. So
good.
Right. It's okay. I got a good memory. I got a good memory.
He's scheming up ways to get me back.
What do you mean? What do you mean you back? Both of you's back.
I've got nothing, mate. I wasn't on the morning show. I wasn't saying that stuff. I'm just laughing.
Yeah. And could I say, just on the growth of the channel, I sent this to Andrew. We got 15,000 views in 2 weeks.
Good, that's brilliant.
All those shows
really,
that we
really
did
good.
with Alan Garber and all those other things we did. 2 weeks, and I think it was from like the middle of this week just gone. But to the 15,000 views.
Yeah,
congratulations, guys! That is fantastic. Well done, all of us.
I'm still bedazzled by the views, the subscriptions that we must be doing something right, fellas.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot too. And if anybody wants any hints or tips on how to grow their channel, I think Brad and I and the Rock Professor have got a few tips. So hit us up. We're happy to pass you on. But there's a little bit of work that you got to do. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to content, doesn't it? And we really appreciate the views that we get. And if anyone is watching the channel and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Subscribe, please, to everybody on our community page. Everybody that's on our community page is someone that's helped our channel. And sub to them, please. We want to see their. I went through and had a look at all the channel. No one. There's only a couple of channels on our community page that are over 1,000 subscribers. So I really would like anyone that's watching that's sub to our channel to go and please give a sub to all those other YouTube channels. It's really important. Thank you.
Yeah, it grows the sort of community, that kind of base level community channels, doesn't it? Like us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one little key thing that you guys need to do too. If you want to build your channel, go and sub to channels and say, I've just subbed. How about a sub back? And you'll be surprised how many people watch that and see that on other channels, and you get subscriptions back and people send a note saying, I saw you asking for a sub, happy to help. It's amazing, Brad. It's amazing how many people, Andy and Simon, that really want to help. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So we're up to 3.22k subscribers. So
it's phenomenal.
It's fantastic. And,
is that more than the? Is that more than the? Are we getting more than the bowling club now, Simon?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
I never even expected us to get to 3,000. You know what I mean? That's. I mean, I'm just happy that we're doing this to 1,000 people. I would have been happy. We're super grateful for the growth of the channel, 100%, and thank you to everyone.
Yeah,
and Andrew's scoping out his new house even as we speak.
And it's inspiring, isn't it? To think that just a handful of guys that come on and contribute to the show as hosts and co-hosts, just talking music. People actually don't mind listening to what the Rock Professor's got to say, because Brad and I don't.
Now that was unscripted.
I told you I'm gonna get you.
Hey, this channel is unbelievable. We go from motivational we go from motivational speaking to pulling the piss out of each other. We don't even get to the topic for 20 minutes, It's funny.
Hey, it's what guys do, isn't it? It's what we do. It's just what we, it's what you do, isn't it? You're always giving, I got to be careful what I say, but you're always giving. Yeah. You always.
I started it. Yes.
Yeah, you did. Look, are we going to start the show or what? Are we just going to sit here and talk shit for 2 hours?
Do we restart and go again, or what?
Reset. Let's just reset.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday show.
Welcome to part 2 of Frampton Comes Alive.
Okay.
Just to show. Look at that.
Oh, hold on. We're going to isolate him. Here.
Isolate him.
You put your makeup on?
Yeah. A plaster. Look at that.
Brilliant.
I don't know if Andrew was saying this earlier. Look,
it does open the eye.
Yeah, look at that. And oh god, look at records falling out. And some cool photographs of the musicians in the on the inside sleeve, and a bit of blurb about it. Yeah, really cool. I was really pleased I got it. Sounds fantastic. It's clearly second hand. It's not a new one, but yeah, I decided to get it. And I've been playing it on my stereo. Sounds amazing on my stereo properly.
Thanks, Gretch.
It really does sound amazing. Thank you, Nelson. That's very kind. So I see doubly prepared, but and I've been listening to it a lot. But as I say, it sounds really good on my stereo. I mean, I'm amazed about how good it sounds. You forget, don't you?
Do we want to?
How good this is.
Shall we, Brad? Do you want to talk about the guitar now? Is this a good time, and then we'll get into the ranking of the tracks? What do you reckon, bro?
Yep, let's do it.
Yes.
Do it.
Okay, so I'll just give me a second. So I'll just there's the sleeve that the Rock Professor kindly showed for you guys. So that was groundbreaking, wasn't it? But more importantly, for the topic of what Brad's talking about, it's that guitar.
Yeah, it's a Gibson Les Paul for anyone who doesn't know what sort of guitar it is, and it was from my understanding a 1954 Les Paul that originally had the P90 pickups in it in neck and bridge position. It didn't have a middle pickup. So the person that actually gave Peter Frampton that guitar ended up routing the pickup holes out and put the middle pickup in it and wired up a certain way that the top volume control and tone on the Les Paul, which is closest to the hand, the two closest to, I've got my Les Paul here, I could have showed you guys, but the two positions at the top were the volume for the neck and the bridge pickup, and the tone was wired up to the neck and bridge pickup. So the bottom two dials on the Les Paul were for the middle pickup, so he could blend the middle pickup in at any time. So, and it would give it a nasal tone or a stratty tone, all sorts of things. So as you can clearly hear in this album, it's a very versatile guitar. Tone wise, a very versatile guitar.
Yep.
So the story, the little background of this, it's absolutely amazing, and it's one of those things that you sort of think they could make a movie out of something like this story. It's absolutely incredible. So back in 1971, when he was in Humble Pie, people don't know Peter Frampton was in a band called Humble Pie. He was playing SG guitars, and he swapped out his SG for a 355. These are Gibson model guitars. And a friend of his, he had a lot of problems with the 355 with feedback. And if you're not familiar with a 355, they got the F holes at the top and bottom. So when you play with a lot of volume, the guitars feed back. So he was having a lot of that problem on stage. And a friend of his, whose name was Mark Mariana, said, "Do you want to try my Les Paul?" Which is the classic, well, it's just the guitar that he's holding in that picture, that classic picture. And so he tried it out at a gig, and he wasn't really into Les Pauls at the time. And then all of a sudden, he was up on stage and he felt like his feet were floating. He was like, oh my goodness, this guitar is heavenly. There's something magical about this guitar. So he walked off stage and said to his mate, Mark, would you consider selling this guitar? And his mate said, no, I'm not selling it to you. I'll give it to you. So Peter Frampton was obviously shocked. He couldn't believe this gentleman was giving him his guitar. So I was going to say reluctantly he took it, but I'm sure it wasn't reluctantly. He took the guitar and basically he was playing that guitar all the way from 1970 through to 1980. So that's he bonded with that guitar a lot, and he played on a lot of sessions with that guitar. That guitar was pretty much on everything that he ever did, every album he ever did, every song he ever played on. He was doing I think it was gigs in South America. I think he was in Brazil and a few other places there. And then they were flying to Panama, from what I understand, and they had a day off, so they went a day early, and all their gear was getting flown on a commercial plane. So they'd organised all their musical equipment on a plane to leave the next day. So they arrived at their destination to have a day off, and all the guitars and amps and everything were meant to get to the following day. But what happened is the plane actually crashed on takeoff in Venezuela on takeoff. The pilots perished. A lot of the staff on the plane perished as well, unfortunately. And he was told by his tour manager at the time that the gear had been destroyed. So obviously, putting things into perspective, he was very sad and mourned that guitar, but he went, well, people died on the plane too, so that's just a musical instrument. Moving forward, he tried a lot of other Les Pauls. He always used to wonder whether the Les Pauls he was playing were as good as that one, and he'd always question in his mind that nothing ever really compared to that guitar. So as it turns out, this is the part where it takes a twist, and if that story isn't enough of enough to sort of curl your toes and make you a little bit sort of like you've just watched a movie that's been a tragedy. He's got a website, and he clicked on to check his emails on the website, and he received an email that had photos of the guitar that he thought was perished. And the photos were taken from a luthier, and the guitar, obviously the luthier had taken the guitar apart, the pickups, everything, and took photos of the routing of the pickups. So obviously this was a custom job, and Peter Frampton had pulled his guitar apart many times. So he identified the routings alone for the pickups that was really his guitar, because no other guitar would have been routed out the way that was. So he immediately knew that was his guitar from the pictures. And basically, as it turns out, 31 years later, I think it was 31 years to the point when he actually received the guitar. He's had it for a few years now. He was reunited with this guitar, and it came from, there was a gentleman for 15 years owned the guitar. 15 years, this gentleman owned the guitar and played it at gigs, and people would turn around and say, that looks so much like Peter Frampton's guitar, from all the markings and everything on it. So he got sussed, got it checked out, and sure enough, he ended up selling it to another gentleman who took it to get work done because it was almost not playable at that point in time. So he took the guitar to a luthier who identified the guitar, which obviously led to the guitar being reunited with Peter Frampton. He organised a hotel room. They had cameras rolling. The guy brought it in a vinyl guitar case, which is horrible, and handed over this guitar to Peter Frampton. I don't know what the agreement was. I'm not sure if you guys know whether any money exchanged or not. I couldn't find any information on that. But what a story, guys. Have you guys got anything to add, or have I missed something there?
I think you've nailed it on the head, bro.
Yeah,
It's
perfect.
it's
Yeah.
a story that you can make a movie out of. But I have put the link in the chat there of the premiere guitar mini documentary, which is fascinating.
That's brilliant. And I encourage you all to look at it after we finish today.
Yeah.
But what a story! And I mean, you could you could make a movie out of that. It's incredible. So obviously the cargo at the back of the plane was saved because it didn't go up in flames. But he was told that there was a 6-hour inferno and all the instruments were destroyed.
Hey, Crappy.
So that's the guitar there. I believe now he's taken those DiMaggio pickups out of it, and Gibson did a once over on the guitar as well, I think. So
And there's the guitar there too.
Oh yes.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's the story.
Thank you, bro.
It's a
Thank you for
story, yeah.
the
Phoenix.
synopsis.
And
That's
that's
it, Phoenix.
And that's why it's called Phoenix.
Yeah.
Rise from the ashes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
we should dive into the album, fellas. What do you reckon? We're on to the part two of
side 3.
Yep.
Yeah, we're on side 3.
Yeah.
And the first song is, I think it's a really lovely acoustic little number. It's about 1 minute, 23 seconds, called Penny for Your Thoughts. I thought this was lovely. I love acoustic guitar, especially when it's played like this as well. And it reminds me from so many other acoustic sort of little things on various different live albums, but I loved it. I thought it was great. It's on the same album, Frampton album, is Show Me the Way and Baby I've Got Your Way as well. So I'll probably, to be honest with you, I'll give this one, sorry Brad, probably about 9.25.
Just make it 9.5, please.
9.5.
Rounding.
I thought it was after the previous song, because the previous song really, for me, was very much like a Billy Joel type of a song, which had that sort of a feel. And then you come down from something on the high to something like this, and it just brings you right down. It reminds me a little bit sort of when Brian May done the acoustic number on Love of Your Life. And that was lovely. But 9.5 for this, definitely. Awesome. And a good song for side 3 for his first song.
Rock Professor. Oh no, Brad. Brad's next.
Brad is, yeah.
Oh, you want me to go next? All right. Yeah, look, I loved this one. I'm a sucker for acoustic guitars, instrumentals, so they're very cool. And for me, I identified this as another open tuning. What do you fellas think? Definitely an open tuning on this one, or standard tuning?
Yeah,
I think
standard.
It's
not standard. It definitely sounds. It's got that
open.
That overtoning thing going on with the open strings and the open tuning. So I love open tuning music. There's something hypnotic about open tunings to me, and I love the sound of the guitars. Beautiful little melody he plays on the acoustic, and plays the acoustic really well. Like, I mean, especially in a live setting, acoustics can be a little bit hit and miss, and I think this is brilliant. Look, I gave this an 8.5. I didn't rate it as high as you, Andy, but still would never skip it. Beautiful piece. Who's next?
It's me. My thoughts about it. It is a pretty little piece and a little sort of I did wonder about its position in the thing. I mean, it comes up. I want to go to the sun. It's quite a big song. Lots of electric guitar, and then you have this tiny little acoustic snippet, and then you go to "I Give You Money," which is another kind of rock thing as well.
Yeah.
And I did kind of wonder slightly why it was. I mean, I could see it being in the acoustic section. I think that would be fine, or coming out of it, or whatever. Or, but I wasn't entirely certain that putting it after you'd come back with "Baby I Love Your Way," which is clearly a bit more band, and then "I Want to Go to the Sun," which is more band. Then you just have this kind of inserted, as you say, Andy, 1 minute something, little snippet of something. That I don't know whether. We did have a question. I did look at this. This album is not programmed the same as the set list that he was doing at the time.
Right.
That it is. He's clearly reprogrammed it quite a lot. So I don't know what he's. I'd love to ask him what his thinking behind Penny Thoughts was. For me, 7.5 out of 10. I think it's just a slight little thing. I don't consider it, and I wouldn't skip it. It's only 123, but I think that that if I were kind of programming it up myself, I might move it to somewhere else to be part of the acoustic section.
Would you put it in the acoustic section? Would you think on the album, Simon? Or?
I would, yeah, I would. I'd put it in the acoustic section. It's as I say, it for me, it kind of stuck out here on a bit of a sore thumb in kind of the flow of the album thing. So yeah, I mean, it's beautifully played and as you say, beautifully recorded. I mean, God, the acoustic guitars on here are fantastic. Well, in fact, the whole recording is fantastic, but the acoustics really sound fantastic. So it's nothing about the sound. I just think about it. So for me, only 7.5 out of 10. Andrew,
look, it's a nice little ditty, isn't it? It's I think it's a song that they use when he needs a string change on his main axe, Brad. I think it's he's giving his axe to his tech, and they're getting a string change, and he plays this little song.
One, dude.
Yeah. Look, it's a lovely song. Don't get me wrong. You're left wanting it to be longer, aren't you? That's certainly the impression I get when I hear the song. I don't know anything about the song, whether it's been edited or whether it was longer. I do have to back up the Rock Professor here. I did a little bit of research during the week too, because we mentioned it a couple of times on the first show, whether or not the album was following a set list. Generally speaking, they don't, but I have to back up the Rock Professor there. It's not the set list. So, Brad, all I can think of, Rock Professor and Andy, why that song is on there is Peter wanted it on there. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 7.5. It's never a skip, but interesting. One little point. I was thinking, why would you open an album side with this? But then I realised it's a double album, so it's not leading a side as such. It's not like a single album or something like that. So you can get away with having some weird songs on the third side of a double album.
It's a continuation.
Palette cleanser. It's fine.
Yeah, if you listen to the, all four sides, it's just a continuation. But if you're picking it up fresh, putting that side on, you'd be sort of going, set opener,
Yeah.
I guess it's just where it's positioned is weird, but where would you put it normally, so.
Yeah, if you're playing it on Spotify, then clearly you don't have the sides thing. Therefore, it's just it comes as another song. So you just got this sort of little acoustic interlude between two.
Good point.
I think Jim's right. What he said, Simon. I think it is like an interlude, isn't it? Yeah.
Cool. Andy.
The next one. So going back a long time ago, back to about 1989.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
The olden days.
I remember watching something on. I'm not sure if it was on the BBC or maybe channel, maybe not Channel 4. It could be the BBC. And there was a film, and it was recorded in 1989, and it was called Night of the Guitars. And it had all the classic guitarists of that particular era. This song on the Frampton album, which is called "I Give You Money," reminds me very much of a song by Mountain called "Never in My Life." And I thought this song was fantastic. Also on the Frampton album, it's on song 5 on the second side of the album. And I'm going to give it a 10. because for me, what an impact! The riff is fantastic.
Mm.
And that's the thing I like about classic rock is you've got the riffs, and then with today's modern music, pop or you want to say rock music, I don't think they have it as much. And for me, this grabbed me, and this has got to be my first 10, 10.5.
Awesome.
I love this. I loved it, and it did remind me of when I watched Night of the Guitars. So if you don't know anything about that, check that out on YouTube because it's got a lot of great guitarists. I don't really know very much about Leslie West, but I've looked at a few of his videos this week. But he was a great guitarist, great songwriter. So for me, I'll give it 10.
Andy, do you know Mountain's most famous song is called Nantucket Sleigh Ride?
No.
Well, it is. Its most famous song is called Nantucket Sleigh Ride. And do you know what a Nantucket Sleigh Ride is, ladies and gentlemen?
Are we allowed to say this?
Yeah, we we are. Nantucket was a whaling town in America.
Okay, yeah.
And so the whalers used to go from Nantucket, and when they went out with the ships, and then they go out in a smaller boat and harpoon the whale. Yeah. When you've harpooned a whale, the first thing it does is disappear over the horizon. Yeah, pulling you along. That is a Nantucket sleigh ride. When the whale has been harpooned and it pulls your small boat along behind it.
Oh, right. Okay, that's interesting. I never knew that actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. That's why I'm the rock professor.
Yes, you'll educate us whether we want to or not. You'll just
whether you want it or not, you're gonna get
it.
That's right. That's right. We're used to it now. It's
somebody tell him to shut up. Yes.
No, actually, the reason I said that is because I've lost track of where we are. We're up to I'll give you money, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Well, for me, I'll give you money. I have to agree with Andy that the riff is where it's at for me in classic rock, and the song really has a great riff. I love that cool drum intro. The guitar tone in this is great. I mean, the guitar tones are great all across the board anyway, but I love the tone of it in this song. Nice little intro guitar part, a little solo section at the start. Great vocals. I put here cool solo in the song, great effect on the guitar. I love the little key change in the solo. The outro is epic. Again, really classy lead playing. The band is tight, sounds great. I have to give it a 10 out of 10, never a skip. It's a fantastic song. Simon.
Yes, I'll just crappy. The reason that Nantucket Sleigh Ride is their most famous song here is that it was the title. It was used as the opening music to a news program on Sunday afternoon. So famously, that's what it was used for here, which is why it's more famous than the Mississippi Queen. But anyway, I see. Trying to get. So yeah, I mean, clearly the drums at the beginning are you're like right. As soon as the acoustic thing start, you start, and while I get my guitar on and get myself sorted, and then I'll come in, isn't it? It's clearly one of those things where the drummers that been instructed to start. Basically, you play because that means the song started, and I'll get my guitar on, change my guitars, get myself sorted, and then I'll come in. And then we'll start. And I mean, it comes in with a bang, doesn't it? I mean, it's a great riff.
Yeah.
And as I say, if you haven't, I'd urge you to listen to it on headphones because it's on my stereo as well. But it sounds bloody huge. I don't know, for 1975, getting that sound was just amazing, really. And I realised, Andy, that when I got this, and clearly opened the sleeve, it said, produced and arranged by Peter Frampton. So clearly Peter Frampton produced it, and and so hats off to him for that, because I think that he did a fantastic job on this in terms of the sound. So that massive solo sound, those great, that that he got the sound, and he managed. They recorded it really well, and Chris Kimsey, and it sounds fantastic, epic, and it's absolutely back in the band thing with a bang. 9 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. And
definitely.
That's what I'd expect side 3 to start with, I think.
That's a good point, actually, because you probably, I mean, you would have, you could have put this the first song, couldn't you? Yeah.
But Andrew.
Look, I love it. Everybody's mentioned, the groove, the drum groove, and the interplay with the audience. It's certainly a chicken skin song for me. I put it up there with one of the best swinging rock songs on a live album since probably the Rolling Stones with Honky Tonk Woman on Get Your ARs out, where they've got the guitar playing with the drums leading it into the intro. But the drums, as Brad mentioned, leading that for 25 seconds into the song before you get the riff, it's you certainly know just by that. Hey, Keith Campbell, good to see you, brother. You know that you're going to be in for a treat. And as my other co-hosts have said, go and listen to it. Fruitcake Tony's in the house, guys. Good to see Fruitcake Tony. I want to do a special shout out to Fruitcake Tony. If anyone's watching our channel, please go and subscribe to him and his crew. It would be a good thing if you could do that for us. It's a phenomenal song. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, Brad, Simon, and Andy.
Yeah. Great song. Love it. Andy.
Yeah, the next song is a Humble Pie song called Shine On, which I quite like this song, actually. It's also written by Peter Frampton. What I was going to ask, actually, is that when you listen to the recorded album version of Shine On compared to the live version, do you think the sounds represented perfectly live than it would be recorded? Because listen to some of other Peter Frampton songs which he's done this week. The sound's incredible. What he's trying to replicate, it sounds very much like what he's used on the record.
Probably.
Probably is the same, isn't it?
Yeah. So I enjoyed this song, but I'll probably give this one, I'd say probably a 9, to be honest. But no, I liked it. I mean, for me, which we'll discuss shortly, is the last 2 songs of the whole album, which for me comes alive. That's obviously a bit of a thing there, but no, I like this song.
Don't give it away, Andy. Don't give away the ending.
Look, I'm not going to give it away. No.
Spoiler alert. Yes.
No. But no, I like this song, so I'll give it a 9.
Yeah. Cool. Look, Shine On for me, very cool intro. I'm going to go back to the catchy riff thing. So the riff in this leading the song is fantastic. There's some great organ vamping through the song. There is in other songs as well, but I love the way he does the vamping on this song. It's really cool. Big sounds all around. The band are really tight. I put vocal harmonies are really cool in the chorus, and Peter Frampton singing fantastic. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest, I originally gave it an 8. But the more each listen through, I thought, I like this one. So it grew on me a little bit more. So it deserved that 9. That not quite a 10 because it's hard to top some of the other things. But I had to give it a 9 out of 10. Great song, never a skip for me.
Yep.
Simon.
Agreed. I think that it's the thing about Peter Frampton is they all got good choruses, haven't they? They all got good sing-along choruses that that are memorable, and I think that's we were saying earlier about on our earlier show about serving the song, and clearly got the song, and it's all built around that, and it's all built around those sing-along choruses and stuff that are really good. So I agree with I think that the other thing I'd say is that Bob Mayo sings so well with Peter Frampton. Their voices mesh together, really well
Perfectly.
for the
Yeah,
harmony stuff. And I think that's fantastic, and clearly, he was a big, Bob Mayo was clearly a big musical foil for Frampton, and in that way, sadly deceased Bob Mayo. But
Actually, what I've heard is that they both play very well together, don't they? They both complement each other with little riffs and various different things in a few of the songs coming up. Whereas one will play one and they'll kind of counterbalance what they're playing.
Yeah, counterbalance, and Bob Mayo clearly plays guitar and keyboards and a whole load of things, and have that kind of multi-instrumentalist in the band is such a good such a good thing to have in terms of the texture of his sound, especially live. You got somebody who can play piano, organ, guitar, sing. It's some musician. So I have tremendous admiration for Bob Mayo and what he brings to the whole album. That the songs, the textures, the sounds he brings, and his foiling. His ability to foil with Peter Frampton is just really good. 9 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Yeah, really great. Really enjoy it. I can hear it in my head, so it must be good if I could hear it in my head. That big.
I think Brad's what's the word description he used of the vamping of the organ is fantastic. I think that's what gets it for me. In that last minute where it changes tempo a little bit, clever song, and the fact that this band's doing all this kind of stuff live again gives, as the rock professor said, credence to the fact that they are musicians and they're not just pouring out rock and roll numbers. They can give it a tempo change within the song, which is always something that we like to hear, and I'm sure the audience does too when you go back and have a look at some of the concert footage. Look, I'm going to give it Brad's original score 8. Never a skip. I'm not being disrespectful, but I think the key thing for me is what Brad said. It's that vamping of the organ is what it's pumping life into what could just be, a pretty good song. Now it's a darn good song.
Yeah.
And what I like as well about Peter is that I watched this. I must have watched it about a year ago or something. I'm sure it must have been a year ago there, where Rick Beato interviews him.
Yeah.
And basically Peter states that he could never replicate any of his solos because when he plays live, it just doesn't play as of the record. It's all improvised, which I thought was really impressive. I mean, you do get a lot of guitarists that will stick to it and will stick to the record, but is one of these guitarists where every time that's the best thing about him. You go and see one concert, you go and see him another one, and the lead break would be completely different. So you never sort of get what you expect. Actually, which I think is really, really magical about this album. So moving on. The next
I think,
song.
Andy, just to come back on that, it's really interesting that what I've sort of learned over these things from other people is that Jimmy Page is a fantastic example of this. Where you're going to do it is a fixed thing. I know I'm going to solo and I've got 16 bars or whatever it is a solo in here. I may not know exactly what I'm going to play, and I'm going to play something different every night, but I know I'm going to do it there, and then I'm going to do it also here as well. And I think that that kind of, they work out the building blocks of it all. They don't, as you say, he doesn't work out what he's going to play every time, so it's different every time. But the section in which he's doing, he knows very clearly it's that, and it's built on this. These are the chords it's built on. So I think that kind of arrangement of a song that gives you, and so it gives you the spaces, but you know where the spaces are, and you know what's going to happen, and you know what the rest of the band are going to do. I'm going to do 16 bars of this, and then I'm going to do this, so I need to play something that goes with that over that bit, and then so I think that it's fitting those things together, and that's where the arrangement comes in. The arranging of it. So as I say, I think that it sounds like you've just never heard the song before and just started playing, where clearly that's not happening, and they have a very clear understanding about what people are going to do, what the cues are, and all of that, and then he can then play over the top, improvise over the top. But
I think when you play in a lineup, Brad, this is a good question. This question to Brad actually is when you play in a lineup and you've been with people for a while, you become very comfortable with them, and when you play live, this is really, really strange. So when you play live, you could go on another extra 2 bars because you're so entwined, and you've got that. It's like some sort of frequency. You're all in the same frequency. So even if you went on 2 bars more than what you should do, as long as you finish all at the same time to move on to the next section of the song. So I think listen to this. I think it's great. I think the album's brilliant.
Yeah. And look, band chemistry happens over years of playing together with the same people. You start to read each other without even looking. It's like little moments. The drummer will pick up when a guitarist is ready to, bring it back. So they'll anticipate that, bring it up to the next section, and then, or the drummer will lead it and the guitarist is following. Generally speaking, caliber of musicians in this recording, they would know what's going on with each other. They would have been able to read each other really well.
Yeah.
If you've played 75 shows, whatever it is, I think I played about 75 shows this year. Once you've done so, you know what you're going to do, don't you?
Yeah.
The musicians, everyone knows where it's going and stuff.
Yeah.
But great point, Andy. Great point.
The next song is, I'll probably say it's really, really very good cover, and it's Jumpin' Jack Flash, and everybody knows the song. And I think basically the band does the song justice. It's great. It really, really is a good song. I can't really say very much about it because the fact is that you hear many people play it, but personally the best people play it's the Stones. But obviously I love this. So what I would give this one actually, and it's a long song. It's about just over 7 minutes long.
Yep.
So I'll probably give this one about 8.5. And the reason why that is because everyone else covers it, but it fits perfect, and it's a nice sort of nod to the Rolling Stones because they probably at that particular day they knew each other, And there's a bit where Frampton talks about one of his interviews. It might be in the Rick Beato one that he would borrow equipment off Peter Gilmore, and other artists of the day if he needed any equipment or anything. So sorry, it wasn't Peter Gilmore actually. I forgot his name now.
Dave Gilmore.
Dave Gilmore. Yeah, so he would borrow equipment off them also. Yeah, I'll give this one about an 8.5, I think.
Well, Andy, I might time you out for that score.
First time out of the show.
No, you're okay. You're entitled to your opinion, but Jumping Jack Flash. Look, this is a completely different beast to the Stones version, in my opinion. It's got a really big open feel about it, where the Stones one is loose. This one's just got that big openness about it. The band is cooking. The drum interlude is really, really good in this song, the way that they do that. It's got a really big jam vibe about the song. The guitar playing is superb. Peter Frampton's on fire. It's like a journey, I guess, in a Stones song. They've made their own version of it.
Yeah.
If you think when you're going to listen to it, when you're looking at the liner notes, it's going to sound like the Stones, then think again because it doesn't. They put a little key change in it in the song, which is great. The guitar solo at the end is fantastic. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, and it's my favorite cover of Jumping Jack Flash. Really.
Oh, really? Good.
And a lot of bands do it.
Yeah.
I like the way this is done, and in my head, the reason I say that, if I was ever to cover Jumping Jack Flash and I'd never heard this version, this is similar to how I probably would have done it. So that's why I guess I relate to it so much. Simon.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that the mark of a good cover version is if you can make it your own, can't you?
Give it your own flavour.
I don't ever think of it, as a sort of poor man's Rolling Stones. Clearly it's kind of revamped in a much kind of in a funkier style. I think it, I think it has. I mean, interestingly, when I was looking at they used to close with this. This was like would be like the last song of the gig on many occasions. This was like the closer on it. Interesting that he didn't put it as a closer on this album. He did something else, but a lot of time uses a closer. I mean, I think that it, as you say, it has that kind of funky drumming, that breakdown, and that funky drumming that kind of, it's not. It's not what Charlie would be doing for sure. And I think that the bit at the end where he's doing that, and he does it. I'll tell you. You listen. You put it on loud, and then he does that, and then he comes in with that really high note, and he does that rundown. That makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And that is the greatest moment on this record for me. It's like absolutely when I put it on my stereo, and he does that. He goes, he does that, and he goes, and I just woo. Yeah. It's just an amazing moment for me. That, and it's a 10 out of 10. For that alone.
yeah.
But I think I can see why that, I can see why he did it. I can see why he used it as a closer, because it's, and he has that kind of funky thing to it, and with great guitar playing. So 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip.
Yeah, I want to back up with a comment that Jim mentioned, because somehow in Scotland somewhere he's got access to my notes. I don't know how the heck he's doing it, but I made a reference point to Johnny Winter's cover version of Jumping Jack Flash, which is completely different to this version. Brad, I think you made a comment about this being a tighter version as opposed to the looser Stones version, and that's great. Because it's so far away from what the Stones do. So when you listen to this, it's like great. It's not like revved up, because anyone can take a song and rev it up. And they don't do that with this song. It's just they've tightened it up a bit, and the Rock Professor's comments about that part in the song too. Yeah, fantastic. This version, when I first heard it, I think this was the first version or cover version of Jumping Jack Flash that I heard outside the Stones. So when I heard this, I was like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." This is great. Keith Richards apparently liked this version of the song too. He never spoke a lot about bands doing Stones covers, but I went and did an internet search, and someone said, a couple of people in the business industry said that he quite liked this, because him and Frampton obviously bumped into each other and hung out and probably did a few little bits and pieces together. Drank a couple of coffees.
Have a croissant.
Sweet on some water. Had a few lifesavers together.
Yeah. Couple of pints,
Tic Tac.
Yeah, you got it, brother. You got it. I'm sure. Look, I'm going to give it a 9.5. I want to give it a 10, but
give it a 10, Andrew.
Okay, then. All right, I'll give it a 10. I'll give it a 10.
Just get over yourself and give it a 10.
But I have to agree with Brad too, also, and it's the curse of going last. I have to agree with Brad. It's one of the best versions, and then obviously followed by Johnny Winters, because we love Johnny too. But definitely a sleeper, isn't it? I did a couple of surveys during the week and asked people had they heard this version of Jumping Jack Flash, and these are people that I know that know rock music, and they've never heard. A lot of people have never heard this version of Frampton singing Jumping Jack Flash so interesting.
Yeah, I think with cover versions, you really run into a bit of danger at times because people, if you play it too close to the original, people can either love it or they go, oh, they can't play it like the Stones. The Stones are the Stones for a reason. They had a lot more swagger than any band that I've ever heard, and that was because of Charlie Watts. But to do it differently sometimes can be a blessing and a curse as well. But I think it's a safety net to play it the way you would do it. And obviously Peter Frampton's done it the way he would normally play a song. So he's made it his own. And I prefer listening to an artist take a other person's song and make their own out of it. I've always appreciated that more, and that's why I think it's worth a 10.
Yep.
I think when you're sort of, you are a live band and you're a professional live band. So for me personally, when you would cover someone else's song, that's a huge compliment. And I think there's only one person. This is slightly digressing, obviously, but there's only one person I've ever heard play Voodoo Child absolutely perfect is Stevie Ray Vaughan.
But
I've never heard anyone ever play any better than Stevie, to be honest. But going back to what you were saying about Jumping Jack Flash, it's a great compliment for any band, and for a band to hear someone else cover them as well, it's a huge compliment. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So the next song for me, this straight away is a 10. I think we're on side 4 now. It's song 13 on the CD, and it's called Lines on My Face, and I love this song. And it's got a really, really lovely intro, and you get to hear the Leslie speaker as well, which I thought was really, really nice. And so in less than a minute, the first guitar solo, over a minute, the first guitar solo comes in, which was absolutely perfect, which runs to about 2 minutes, 25 seconds. They hear the crowd as well, crowd sort of cheering during this. Then we get a second guitar solo, and we get a fourth one. And I love this song. I thought it was fantastic. So for me, I'll give it a 10. And what I like in this song, as well as the next one, is even though the longer songs, for example, is the amount of time the song gets to breathe. And there's a musical pause. And I really love stuff like this. And this shows professionalism. And what I'm trying to figure out is, could you actually replicate Frampton's sound digitally with amp modelers? Because his guitar sound is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect to hear the guitar sound playing on a Les Paul. You don't think of a Les Paul. So I'll give this a 10. Absolutely lovely song. If I had a lighter, I'll be out holding a lighter up now.
Lines on My Face. Yeah. Great song. I love that spacey intro you were referring to, Andy.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. And that beautiful guitar backed by that solid bass playing is just fantastic. I like the mellow vibes of the song in the mellow parts, and the vocals are great. The band are very dynamic in this song, and we've discussed this before, but in this song they're very dynamic. The solos are fantastic. I put that. The guitar playing is next level for this era of guitar players. Frampton is very unique. When you're talking about 1970 with all the guitarists around at that time, very unique player. Great solos. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. Simon, it's over to you.
Yeah, completely agree. I completely agree with that. I think that that for me, again, this is a masterclass in dynamics. The dynamics of having a 7-minute song that never loses interest, never loses. There's always something new happening, something different. And those, the band absolutely nailing it down. They understand, the groove, the rhythm, the the dynamics of it. They come in a bit more, they drop it down a bit. They get all of that as a kind of, and I think that to be able to do this live and to understand and have the dynamics of the of a band doing it, I think is great, and not really what people do now, interestingly. And I think that the effects are pretty simple, as you say. He turns on he's got the Leslie speaker for the guitar and stuff, which gives it that kind of big stereo sound as well, kind of really big, and it really suits this. But the piano and the organ playing, Bob Mayo again, in the verses is really good. Really just holds the song and cradles the song and makes it so that Frampton can play off all of that and do his lovely kind of crystalline clear solos that that really suit this song and stuff like that. And 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. An absolute it's fantastic. And I think interestingly, we're on side 4 now of the album, but you don't. Yes, I mean the way that the album's programmed is completely different. You wouldn't put it at the end of a gig in a live sense, but it works really well. This 4th side has a kind of mood all of its own kind of thing, different to the previous sides. But
where would you put this, Simon? If you were tasked to put this together, where would you put this on the overall selection of songs?
That's a hell of a question about if you're where you put it if you're doing a live set list. Because clearly, I mean, it would probably be somewhere in the middle, something, as a kind of, one of those drop down things where you do, you're changing it up, you're doing something different, you're approaching, having a sort of slightly slower song, but as I say, with those dynamics and things, so probably in the middle. But yeah,
I thought probably put it sort of roundabout, Give Me the Money, put it just before that song. And then bang, you straight in, you hit this big riff.
Yeah, maybe coming out of the acoustic section and then into the more fuller electric stuff. Yeah. If you were doing a live thing, I don't know. But yeah, fantastic. A 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Andrew.
It's the lull before the storm, isn't it? It's the quiet one. It's certainly drawing you into what follows next, and to echo what Andy said, I think the song placement on this is perfect. It's the perfect song, I think, for the next song. Holly said it perfectly. It's such a romantic song. And rock and roll is about all the passions and all the emotions that human beings have, and romance is one of the biggest things, that rock and roll tackles. And, it's a great song. I can't add any more to what my co-hosts have said, other than it's, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, only because of what? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Only because of what's going to come next, and and it sucks that I have to go 4th after.
Give him the look, Brad. Give him the look. Give him the look.
After the next song, because 9 out of 10. Never a skip.
The slow shake of the head.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Dear. That's not very good, is it?
So we're on the last song. On the last song now, which is 40 minutes long, which is generally a normal length for any Pink Floyd song live. This for me, Do You Feel Like We Do, was absolutely perfect. There's loads of things on this song, to be honest. The keyboard vamps and the guitar work really, really well together. This could have been a 20-minute song, at least 20 minutes. It just goes on and on and on and on. But what I do love in this, and you start to hear more and more of Bob playing the keyboards now. Is love the electric piano. The use of the talk box. So strangely enough, going back a few years ago, I went to watch Herbie Hancock in the Barbican in London, and Herbie had a young band, and towards the end of the set, excuse me, he'd done like a talk box effect, and the first thing I thought about was Peter Frampton. So I'm a huge fan of Herbie Hancock, but I thought of Frampton straight away when he started doing this. So I'd say definitely for me, he's definitely a 10. Fantastic. This has to be the best song in the album for me personally. I think, like what Andrew was saying, builds up to this. Would the previous song fit perfectly? But I think it's probably a
I think it does, right? Yeah. In an album sense, and if you're thinking about it as an album with 4 sides, and then you're thinking about each side does a thing. So you've got the opening side, which is basically 4 sort of rocky things. Then you've got an acoustic side. Then you've got another rock side, and then you've got the kind of expansive, kind of sort of improvised, but structured, slower songs. I think. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think for me, I think with this particular song, I mean, definitely Frampton comes alive on this. For me personally, I think the guitar solo was brilliant. So 10, definitely a 10. Not a Brad score. I'll give it a 10.
It's up to me, guys.
Off you go. Off you go.
I'm gonna have to cull a bit of my notes here because we could be here for a while. Do you feel like we do? I personally enjoyed this song the most on the whole album. I'm not taking anything away from any other magic on this album, but there's some really amazing things happening in this song. I hear Santana vibes. I hear I hear Joe Walsh. I hear so many things. I hear Mott the Hoople vocals, like Ian Hunter a little bit in sections. But that keyboard is fantastic. The guitar and keyboard interplay.
Perfect.
The band are really tight. They're just really locked in, and like something about that era. There was that whole thing in the late 60s where it was loose, and for some reason bands in the 70s became tight, like Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. All these bands came tight. Now this is a perfect example of what I'm trying to refer to. I love his vocals in this song. It's a fantastic feel. The bass lines are just locked in tight with those drums. We're all closet bass players here. We love bass, and for me to listen to this, I was like, wow, that's some strong bass playing there. That was amazing, and the drummer's fantastic as well. And we hear more fantastic guitar playing through the song. The breakdowns, the build-ups, the sonic journey we're taking on in this song. The organ solo is wonderful. The guitar in the middle, in the breakdown, some of Peter's finest moments on guitar. And then we get, the talk box. And for me, it's uniquely Peter Frampton. When I hear a talk box, I've heard other players use a talk box, but to me, when I hear a talk box, I hear Peter Frampton, and I think he made this song. Like, I have to agree, Andy, it could have gone for 20, 30, 40 minutes. It could have been an epic long jam. I think they made this song the perfect length, and they take you on a sonic journey, and then they finish the song. I'm going to give this one 100 out of 10, and it's never a skip for me. There you go, Simon.
Well done.
Well done.
You come back.
Yes, well done. Welcome back to the Brad score.
I had to do it, guys. I had to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. In contrast to Crappy Luxury, who says that the audience interaction and talk box between 5:15 and 11 is absolutely unbearable and unlistenable. Not for you then, Grubby. I'm taking that as a not for you and not a Brad score.
Well, we
Fair
don't
enough.
always have to agree.
Well,
I mean,
you've got to have an opinion, and that's fine. It's a good opinion, and that's absolutely, absolutely allowed to do that. Grubby, that's fine. If it drives you nuts, it just does. Yeah, this is. I mean, I've got copious notes about this. I think it's just, again, this is one of the songs that they did used to close with, and then they would do Jumpin' Jack Flash as an encore kind of thing. So it's about a hangover. It's about having a hangover. Woke up this morning with a wine glass in my hand. Whose wine? What wine? Where the hell did I dine? It's for me. I mean, I think that there's a fantastic Rick Beato. What makes his song so great? That he's so worth a watch for this, because he goes in. I made a few notes out of this, and I'll just, the intro. Frampton plays on his own. Then Bob Mayo plays harmony on the Fender Rhodes. They go up a minor third to F. The drummer is that tight groove feel with just the snare, the bass drum, and the snare, and then he moves to the ride cymbal. And then you've got the verse with the driven guitar, and then you've got the harmony singing in the chorus with Bob Mayo live on one mic. So they do it together on a single mic, which is really cool. In the solo, he kicks on the Binson Echo Rec, to give it a boost and give it that really big sound. Things, and there's so much. Go and watch the Rick Beato thing, because it is a fantastic analysis of what the band are doing, what they're playing, tiny little phrases and all sorts of things. I'm not going to go through them all now, but I have got them. But that I think is again, it's a lesson in dynamics, isn't it? How do you take comparatively simple instrumentation and turn it into a kind of epic, 14-minute epic kind of thing that moves, it changes, it has high points, low points, brings it up, brings it down. As you said, the talk box bit where he says, do you feel like we do? I want to thank you, and all of that stuff. It is uniquely Frampton. I don't really think of anybody else uses the talk box in such a lyrical way. You've got that kind of gradual build towards the end, and the big guitar solos over the band. To me, as I say, a masterclass, another masterclass in dynamics. And I think that we've done this one, Humble Pie Live at the Fillmore, which is that as well, which has lots of long songs on it, and they, and it's because you don't have loads of effects and all that stuff, because we're pre all of that. It has to be about dynamics, loud, quiet, soft, melodic, not melodic, big chords, little chords, whatever. And and then clearly, with Bob Mayo, he's got this foil with the keyboards and all those things, and that kind of very jazzy keyboard solo he does, and he gets announced twice. So good they named him twice. 100 out of 10 for me as well. I listen to headphones and stuff in my car. You get drawn. For me, sorry, crappy. You get drawn in. For me, I get drawn into the style, get drawn into the whole kind of the drama of it, and that and yes, it's fantastic, and it's 100 out of 10 for me, and a great ending to a great album.
Compared to the album you've just showed us, Simon, and this is to the panel and everyone else actually in the chat, is how would you compare that album to this one we're talking about? Has Frampton changed? His dynamics changed on this album compared to the other one?
Yeah, because he's playing with different people. Bob Mayo is not Steve Marriott. Yeah, I think that's in Humble Pie you've got two guitarists.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got Steve, two great singers as well. I mean, Steve Marriott's a great singer, fantastic singer, and Brady Frampton was a great singer too. But I think that the Humble Pie thing is a much more straightforward rock and roll experience, because there's no keyboards on it, there's no piano, it's just two guitars, bass, drums, and singing. And then you have to work out a set of dynamics. So Peter Frampton is playing off what Steve Marriott is doing, and vice versa. So it's playing off another person. But as I say, Steve Marriott is a completely different kettle of fish to Bob Mayo in many ways. No keyboards for starters, and and that much different voice, a completely different. Steve Marriott's one of the great front vocalists, of that era. So I think it's a completely different. But the basic principles of play loud, play quiet, one play, other plays, it still, remains on that Humble Pie album, and brought forward into this, but clearly with more nuance and more color because of the keyboards and because he plays different things, and the guitars and the singing and the way that complements Frampton rather than be a contrast to Frampton, which I think Steve Marriott is a contrast to Frampton in lyric, singing wise.
So you would say really that the lineup he's got for this album brings the best out in everyone, especially Peter Frampton.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. He's got a great band on this record. It's a fantastic band, and particularly Bob Mayo. But the others, Stanley Sheldon and John Siamas, fantastic drummer and bass, and Teresa's off. Bye, Teresa. Take care. They are fantastic, and they hold it down, and they understand how to play. But they'll come from that same tradition of coming up through the 60s and early 70s, where those things were that's what you did, to survive and be able to do a 14-minute song with some degree of keeping it interesting, keeping it alive, keeping it is you've got to understand those things, I think, in a way that probably you don't so much now, because you have so much more to your palette.
Yeah.
Now that if sounds and things you can do, people with massive pedal boards and all crazy stuff, you're not in a sense you have you have the choice inertia these days, rather than I've only got a couple of things, so I need to work out how to if I'm going to do, I need to work out how they fit together and to use them judiciously, and I think the talk box on here is a really good example. He only uses it on Show Me the Way, doesn't he? That's the only other song on here that he uses it on. So he doesn't overplay it, but it is the feature, one of the features on this record, but using it as a vocal thing to say, I want to thank the audience for, getting them to join in. Do you feel like we do? And all of that, is really good, really interesting, really good. As I say, I was always completely drawn in by it, and I never think it's 14 minutes long either. And I think that's the mark of a really good, a really good band, is that they can play a 40-minute song and it doesn't feel like a 40-minute song. I can hear quite a lot of songs that are 3 minutes, and I think they're 6. and that's never a good idea. Never a good idea.
And that's always a skip.
Yeah. Yes,
Hold on, Keith. Yes. Don't go just yet.
Keith. Oh man. Remember the Fallen. Yeah. So yes, Andrew.
Did you score it?
Oh, sorry, 100 out of 10. I'm doing a Brad score.
Because you lost me on Humble Pie, so I was just were you scoring Humble Pie again?
Oh, okay. You lost me on Humble Pie. There we are. That'll learn me, won't it?
The chat was turning into the Holly and Keith show there for a while. Love the chat, and Teresa, thank you very much also too for the for all the Brazilian subscribers who got the channel too. Thank you, Teresa. I know that for a fact because I've subscribed to a hell of a lot of Brazilian YouTube channels. Thank you. Sorry, nothing to be sorry about. It's what we do here. We're a hangout. Here in New Zealand, guys, this song here is a rite of passage for a lot of young people. Well, it was certainly for a lot of my friends when we were growing up. And I know from speaking to a lot of other people too, this song especially, if a lot of people aren't familiar with this album, they'll be familiar with I Love Your Ways, and this song especially. You know, they were songs that were put on to cassette tapes. You might remember when we used to do that, when you used to do mixes of cassette tapes, and you'd go somewhere and you'd play them through somebody's tape deck. And this song, invariably, Brad, was always a song that was on there, you know, that people would love and drink beer to and have fun and eat food to. The talk box thing was always really, really interesting. So I'm going to admit something here to everybody. I'm going to admit something to you guys. When I was a young guy, I remember this guy, and I was trying to think of his name, but I remember we were having this conversation. I would have been about 14, 13, and I remember him saying that he was doing this on the guitar. And I remember trying to work out, because I didn't know what a talk box was. All right, how can you talk and play chords and get something on a guitar? It had me bewildered, and it was because of that I thought Peter Frampton was a genius because of what he was doing on the talk box. I couldn't work out actually. And it wasn't until a little bit later on when you got some guitar magazines and something like that when they were actually talking about what the guitar box was, because as we say often on the show, guys, you know, YouTube wasn't around in the olden days and we didn't know that kind of stuff. But I'm interested that Crappy Luxury, who's been on the show a couple of times, and as the Rock Professor said, you know, everyone has their own tastes and their own opinions, and that's what makes this channel and what we do interesting. But I love that part, Simon. I loved it. You know, it caught my attention when I was a young guy, and I still think it's a fantastic thing. Who made the comment too about it just being, I think it was Keith in the comments, saying this song was the epitome of a live song on live albums for a long time. I think he's hit the nail on the head there. I think they've encapsulated 14 minutes. Is it 14 minutes, the song?
It's a long
40 minutes. Yeah.
14 yeah. I think they've encapsulated a defining live song from the 70s, certainly. Brad, you know what I'm going to do, don't you?
Go on higher.
I have to Brad. I have to Brad score this. I think it's it's phenomenal. And as my co-hosts have said in their introductions and the elaborations on it, you know, go and check it out. Go and listen to it. Rick Beato, all the subscribers that we've sent over to your channel, because, you know, we've mentioned your channel a few times on our show. Do us a favor and get some of your viewers over here to our channel.
Even half of them, we'll be happy with that.
As he's got 3 million subscribers, 1.5 million will be fine.
We're not greedy.
Yeah. And if anybody's watching the replay and they're going to do what the Rock Professor said, go and watch Rick Beato's elaboration on the song. Tell them that the 5150 show sent you over.
Yeah.
What a way to end a live album. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing about it, is that you know, in a live context, doing the talk box stuff and things like that would be fantastic, you know, as well, isn't it? Because it's an audience participation thing, it's a communication with the audience, you know, at the end of stuff. It's just yeah.
Can I just say, I've used a talk box. And
have you?
No,
that was my question.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Lady waited till the end. Look at that! He waited an hour and 30.
Talk box.
I have used a talk box.
I played a Guns N' Roses tribute band. We haven't played for a while though because of COVID and all sorts of things. But in a song that Guns N' Roses do off Appetite for Destruction, there's a song called Rocket Queen, and Slash uses a talk box in that. And I'll say it's very fun. It's very bizarre. It's weird. It's it does funny things to your mouth. Like it's like your mouth is like a speaker. So it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a bit of rehearsing for me to get it right. And the worst thing for me was it was only a small section that Talkbox is in the song, and you have to set the whole darn thing up for one song for one small little solo, and the solo breaks down. So you have to get that damn bloody solo right, or people are going to crucify you. So in a tribute band, you can't play it your own way. You've got to play it the same way.
Play what it is. Yeah.
So in saying that, that's my little Talkbox story there.
That's funny.
I give it to people that can use them. It took me a lot of practice. I used to practice without a Talkbox, like, doing the vocal thing, like with the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different. When you use a voice box, it's very different. To me, it was anyway. It felt different. So it's funny what it does to the inside of your mouth, though. It's like it's vibrating all your teeth forward and everything. It's weird.
Wasn't there some terrible story about if you used it too much, your teeth would fall out or something?
Really?
I remember that. Yeah, I do remember something about that. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. It used to. I won't swear. It used to annoy me a lot when we go to sound check, and you got this arm tube, right, sticking over your microphone, and roadies would go up and test it for you, and you're like, "Oh man."
Yeah, thanks. I've got to put that in my mouth.
Yeah.
Now you've done it. Yes,
And they're looking at it, and there's all goobies on it from their mouth.
Oh,
No.
It's a very personal instrument.
It's a Sunday morning, Brad.
Sorry, mate. You got to bring up my breakfast, ain't you? I've just turned myself off dinner.
I think we should get this back on track quickly.
Andrew, pull rank, fix the show.
Well, I was just going to say that Frampton, just as a bit of trivia, but Frampton got it when he was doing All Things Must Pass, and he saw a pedal steel player called Pete Drake using it. He just got it out, Pete Drake, and started mucking about with it in a sort of, in a quiet moment, and it was a kind of eureka moment for Frampton about getting one. And by the next tour, he had one to entertain. So it's.
I believe he has his own version, Simon. I think
he does.
I think he can actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Framptone. Of course it is.
And it's not cheap.
Done. I bet it isn't. Artist signature stuff, not cheap. No, but I think go on, Andrew. You were going to say something. You were to say something sensible.
I was going to ask, actually, I've never found this, but do you know if there's any Peter Frampton tribute acts? Have you ever come across any of those on the internet or on YouTube? Or?
No.
I haven't, unfortunately.
No. It's a, I was thinking about this in this album in the broader context, and it's kind of got lost, hasn't it? This record, it's kind of, I was thinking about it, trying to figure it out, and it seems to be like 1976 was the end of that kind of, that 10-year period, if you like, 66 to 76, all that growth of music and all that, and then because in 76, you've got the first Ramones album turning up. So what you've got is this switch around into sort of punk and a bit, and I think that Frampton Comes Alive became one of those albums that was an anathema to the the new world order of punk, and it because it was so close to the beginning of that, that year it sold millions and people have bought it since, but then it got subsumed by punk completely, as a kind of phenomena, as a cultural phenomena, and therefore it got kind of lost. I mean,
the last great 70s live album was the 78 Live Rust album in this vein. That was the last great 70s live album.
But even Neil Young, he had a bit more of that punky vibe, didn't he, with Live Rust, because he had Rust Never Sleeps, which has.
Hey. He even mentions Johnny Rotten.
He even mentioned Johnny Rotten, so he's kind of plugged into that. Whereas this clearly is not plugging into that, and I think it's it's kind of that last great hurrah of that era before moving into something. And then clearly in the 80s you just got the electronica wave. With your keyboards and well, you've got a lot of keyboard stuff and a lot of and it's seemingly very quickly its time passed, didn't it? And and so that's what it feels like to me, that it had a moment in the sun and then it kind of got overshadowed by a whole different set of cultural things. That may not quite be the case in America, and I'm happy to I think that's where the UK and America started veering off into slightly different directions to different things. And I've said on here before, that all those like even Van Halen were not. I don't know if you agree with this, but they didn't really tour over here very much.
They didn't.
I think they know they used to come and do Donington, Donington's Masters of Rock kind of thing. They had one big hit, which is Jump.
Exactly.
If you go and ask my wife, who's a child of the 80s, she knows Jump, but she doesn't know anything else. And they whereas clearly in America it's a completely different kettle of fish, and all those other like Motley Crue and all that stuff. It didn't really hit over here at all in the 80s, did they?
Yeah.
Well, that's my memory of it. And as we've gone off on different routes, I think that this is something something about that this album, great album, but it's the end of that thing, and then things start doing that, and a year later in America you've got Van Halen bring out their first record and stuff, which clearly in America was a game changer for not only guitar players, but for that kind of rock as well. There's a kind of American rock thing going on, isn't there? That maybe this is a bit a part of the beginning of that as well. Maybe it's kind of crossover thing. But I don't know what you guys feel about that.
I think with this album, so I'm really pleased that we've done this, to be honest, because
thank you.
I hadn't listened to this for such a long time, and then with an album like this, it's like Pink Floyd's Pulse album and all the other live albums you may have at home. Is what you're capturing is magic. It's historical music history, a moment in history. Yeah, and I think with this album, basically, it's a masterclass in musicianship. Me personally, I think everybody's right. It captures something very, very special. That could you replicate it nowadays? I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest.
No, I don't think you could.
So much.
Yeah. I mean, Brad, you're the musician in the group. Does this influence you in any way? Or is it kind of quite a sort of foreign thing in many ways to you?
It does influence me. I mean, I'm influenced by everything related to music anyway. So, but like for me, it does influence me in a way. It inspires me. Let's just say that. I think this era of music in general inspires me as well. Like 1970s, the late 60s, the 70s, some of the 80s stuff. There's some fantastic musicianship. I don't think you see a lot of the same musicianship these days. And I think what that amounts to is technology creates an easy way for people to record music and fix things, where back in the day it was a lot harder. And I may be digressing a bit from what you're talking about, but I think it plays a big part in what you were talking about is the way that things are recorded back in this day, back in the 70s. I'm sure there's not much in this that's been fixed up, if that makes sense, like going back and fixing up. I can't imagine that Peter Frampton has done a hell of a lot to this other than maybe fixing a few little guitar lines or whatever. I don't know. I can't really tell. It's not transparent if it's been fixed or not.
It has. There are a couple of things. There's a where is it? I
rhythm
actually
guitar or
made a note of
something.
them. The rhythm guitar on the beginning of one of the tracks where the microphone got kicked out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and a couple
things
of
like that are,
keyboards.
you know, they've always happened. But these days they polish recordings too much, I think, and you lose a lot of that musicianship. The downside for musicians in this day and age is they have to play good now, so they have to get their chops up to gig, because if they don't, it's going to be plastered all over socials everywhere to show how terrible they were live. So,
yeah,
in a roundabout way, that sort of contradicts what I said in a sense, but I don't think like what I'm getting at is musicians used to go record live, even like in the studio. But they don't do that these days. They'll record a drum to a click.
Yeah.
They record the bass. They record the guitars and keyboards. They record vocals, and any overdubs are done. Like they might sit back and go, "Oh, we need to add an acoustic guitar in those two sections of the songs," and then they do it. And it's not done live anymore. I love it when bands do record live. Like I know Slash just recorded live. He's done it a few times on some solo records with Miles Kennedy. I know that Black Country Communion used to go and record live because that was how they got that energy. And I'm sure there's other bands that do it, but in a live album sense, this is probably one of the least polished ones that's been out there, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a bookend of the 70s. Masterclass in tone and dynamics, which is what the rock professor was saying on a lot of his elaborations. You know, that light and shade that we love, the contrasts. It's a fantastic album. Keith agrees too. It's long overdue. And Peter's live bluesy accents will always inspire him. Yeah, I agree. And obviously Holly too has a special connection with this album because, you know, she was young at the time when this album was dropped and, you know, consuming it. A lot of young people were captivated by it. So, yeah, I know people too. You know, I was a young guy too when my aunt had posters of this guy on her wall, and it was, you know, the hair and the guitar.
yeah,
you know,
absolutely, yeah.
Were certainly images burnt into my mind. Yeah. So, look, it's been a pleasure hanging out with Andy doing this album as a guest host. I think it's Brad's pick, and for next week. So if you guys want to be up to play with what we're going to be talking about, you know what you have to do. And if you are new to our channel because you've subbed recently and you don't know how it's done, you need to go and follow Brad on his Instagram, and he's going to release the album that we're going to rank next week.
No pressure, Brad. You're going to release the album. They are
release the album that we're going to talk about next week, Mr. Professor. Release the album that we're going to talk about. Yeah. No, he's not that good. He's not that quick.
Let's just say it's going to be and I'll say it like this, red hot album. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
I think I might know what it is. I think I might know.
Don't let the cat out of the bag yet.
But
cool.
Yeah.
And
go and follow Brad.
And you can go second, Andrew.
Yeah. I look forward to that. Thank you. That'll be interesting.
Make sure, guys, you do follow everyone on Instagram as well, because that's where we do communicate with people on the channel, especially Andrew. He's all over it. So make sure you follow the 5150 show on Instagram. I was just trying to think of what it was.
Yeah. Awesome. So, and Holly's saying, thank you, gentlemen, for a beautiful and meaningful review. Well, thank you, Holly. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Yep.
And Helene's saying, he was hot, Holly. Oh, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Brad or the rock professor?
no,
Well,
no,
hey-
He's a Frampton. No,
Oh!
steady.
Andy.
oh, Andy. Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
So
Shall we
thanks,
have a
for doing this.
thanks to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
I've just worked out why we're getting so many subs lately. Because everyone's addicted to your beard and laugh. That's what it is, Andrew.
Something. Oh my lord.
Except
Oh,
somebody who will remain nameless who said to me, "Tell Andrew to get his beard cut."
Ain't
It's
gonna
not
happen,
Christmas,
brother.
No,
It's not Christmas.
I'm pretty sure Andrew grooms it. I think he manscapes so he gets it done properly, yeah?
Yeah, I
Put
do,
the
brother.
oil in, gets the beard oil in, gets done.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, we're aware of it. We're aware of it.
There it is there, brother. There it is there.
If anyone wants to send in some cool beard oils for Andrew, we'll advertise them without a second thought.
And have a special beard brush.
That's obviously that's another live stream, and we'll rank the products.
Yeah, ranking the product. Well done, Andy. Ranking the product. Yes, you got to send in 10 beard oils, and we'll rank them.
Don't laugh. I know a beard oil
lovely.
company here in Melbourne. I might be able to tee it up.
Oh wow. The only trouble is, Brad, the only trouble that is only Andrew's got a beard. You and I don't have a beard.
Yeah, I know. No,
We'll have to pretend. False
we'll have
beard.
to just. I think actually, Andrew, here's a good idea for a show, and it could be a midweek. It doesn't have to be on the show or whatever. We just do.
Andrew's
We
going to
just
be
do
a
an
beard
episode
influencer.
where Simon and I and Andy can come too. We actually watch you do your grooming routine for your beard.
Yeah, that's probably going to get hundreds of
And
thousands.
we can make comments about it. We'll rank your grooming techniques.
That's great. Ranking the products, Andy. Well done. That is a show for sure. Oh dear. Look at that. He's got a hairdryer, beard dryer.
Oh.
Oh God, I'm gonna spat out my water then. What?
Brilliant. Yeah. Beard
Oh, my
meets
Lord.
guitars, yes. Have you seen it? There's a big YouTube channel called Beard Meets Food, where this guy goes around and he eats things. His nickname is Beard, basically, and his wife is called Mrs. Beard. He refers to her as Mrs. Beard all the time.
Oh my lord. Say
Anyway,
goodbye to everybody.
Let's say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
And thanks to Holly, Lewis, Gret Zeppelin, Ellen Vorishine, of course, and Keith Campbell. Thanks, Keith. Fantastic stuff from you. And Crappy Luxury and Helene O'Hara and Holly Lewis. Let me see what else we've had. We've had 14.
Thank you, Holly.
That's very cool.
Thank you, Helene.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. And what else have we got further going for Gret Zeppelin? We've got Gret, yeah. Jazz Thunder 50, Jim. Thanks, Jim. Good to see you. Helene, Ellen, Keith, Holly.
Thank you, Helen.
Yeah. Crappy. I think that's probably everyone I can see, to be honest. Robert Ranford as well. Robert, thanks for that. Robert went to bed sensibly. Teresa as well. She went to bed too. Thanks, Teresa, for all your support and help. Fantastic. Fruitcake Tony, of course. Fruitcake Tony. He popped in earlier. Good to see you, Fruitcake. And I think that's Helen Winter as well. So thanks, everyone. That's gone back to the beginning. So hopefully I didn't miss anybody. So thanks all for joining. Another great show, and glad we did it justice, Holly.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
If anyone is watching
Thanks,
this,
Andy. Thank you so much.
To the channel, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, because if it wasn't for what these chaps were doing, it wouldn't introduce us to a lot of classic music. So I think that's important. And also follow the chaps on Instagram. Simon's actually got better on Instagram, which is
Thanks, Andy.
You have
Thank you.
no idea, Andy, the machinations that I do to get someone on Instagram. It's hilarious. My incompetence can't be. Oh dear. Yeah. So Andy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for choosing Alan.
Thanks,
If anybody
Andy.
else wants to do that, yeah, we're up for it. Fantastic. Really good.
Awesome.
Bring on the
Okay,
tigers.
so
And we'll see you next
so
week.
we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Take care. Have a good week, guys. Take care.